Hello and welcome to this week's Roundup by blockchaingamer.biz. Make sure you check out our website, blockchaingamer.biz. Follow us on Twitter, BCGBiz. Today is Friday, 14th of July. I'm your host, Jenny Jordan, and with me is co-host John Jordan. Hello, John.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. You've got a new piece of
Good.
accessory. You've accessorized.
I do, yes. Lovely hat. Mojo Melee. Been playing it quite a bit this week.
Yes.
Not super successfully, as you know, it's a bit frustrating. I'm not bought a battle pass or anything yet, so
No.
I'm kind of really trying to grind, starting from the bottom, sort of working my way up slowly.
Yeah, we've had some back and forth with the with our friends at Mojo Melee about what we're up to. I've been more successful than you, but I bought a battle pass, so I think that's.
Well, I'm quite stubborn. I stick with games for quite a while, and I like it. I really want to like it. Yeah. I like the character. I think it's got great potential. The kids love it when I play it in the background, but they don't love it so much when I lose. So
no. But anyway, they said. Mike from Mojo Melee said you should wear the hat today, so that's why you're wearing the hat today. So.
That's why I'm wearing the hat. Anyway, let's get into this week's news. We can start off by talking a bit about Mighty Action Heroes. Mm-hmm. It's a battle royale game that's just.
They can send us a hat as well.
Open beta. Pardon.
Simon, you can send us a hat. We'll wear that next time. We collect hats.
Absolutely, yes, and all the merch my way.
Could be our thing. Yeah.
Right. So they have launched the open beta, and as doing that, they have also announced that they're going from Polygon to Arbitrum.
Yeah.
And that is, why have they done that? And what does that mean?
It's in general, I think we're in a period where lots of games are sort of rethinking their sort of what we call go-to-market strategy. They're thinking, like last year, people were raising money and talking about, just trying to get people interested in their new game and explaining what the game is. And this year, it's much more about, right, hopefully you've made the game and the game's sort of fun. And now, how on earth are you going to get people to play it? Which just brings in a different set of sort of decision making that people have to think about. And obviously, the blockchains are changing all the time. So a decision you made a year ago. And sort of, Polygon is still, as we discussed last week, the most popular blockchain, but there's just, still quite a lot of sort of different chains sort of coming on, particularly when it comes to what we call scaling solutions, L2 solutions. And Arbitrum is a L2 for Ethereum. So, most people are in the EVM sort of Ethereum ecosystem, and then it's quite easy to move stuff around. Although in the case of Mighty Action Heroes, they've got their NFTs are on Polygon, but those NFTs are actually not playable characters. So, but they will have to probably do some sort of migration. So it's not they're not moving to Solana or anything sort of crazy. But Arbitrum is just basically, with any scaling solution, it's cheaper. So the whole point is it's not as secure as Ethereum, but it's sort of cheaper and faster. And what the decision they've made, I guess, is a bit more interesting because they've not just gone to Arbitrum, they've gone to this thing called the TreasureDAO or Treasure ecosystem, which is a whole bunch of games operating on Arbitrum. So I've read a bit of what they've said on their blog and stuff, and they're.
So hang on, you can be on Arbitrum, but not be part
not in
of
Treasure.
TreasureDAO.
Yeah.
You can't be part of TreasureDAO and not be on Arbitrum.
No, TreasureDAO is on Arbitrum. So all the TreasureDAO games, they have this. They have a token called Magic, which sort of underpins the whole thing. Although you can have your own tokens as well. Yeah. Although I think the Magic, I'm not quite sure. The Magic token may be on Ethereum. I'm not actually sure about that. But anyway, I think the point is, in terms of go-to-market strategy, Treasure has been around for a while. There's about a dozen games, I think, on the TreasureDAO. None of them are particularly sort of famous. I mean, some of them are obviously more famous than others, but none of them are like, I think none of them have sort of proven themselves yet. But there are a bunch of people there who are sort of committed to that ecosystem. It's a gaming ecosystem, and I think the sort of thinking from Mighty Action Heroes is, if I'm just on Polygon, then there's loads of people knocking around on Polygon. Some are doing DeFi, some are just like doing whatever they're doing. But if I go to Treasure, then I know there's like a smaller number of people, but they're really into games. So I think their thinking is, if we put a really good game, a really accessible game on the TreasureDAO, then we know there's a group of people who are really interested in games, and we get our first what people call it the 1,000 true fans, or the really the small tight group of committed people who are really going to be into this, and then they can sort of grow it out. So I think that's the thinking. Obviously, I imagine there's some commercial aspects. So TreasureDAO probably cut them some terms. I don't know. They don't mention that, but some sort of may not be they've given them money. Maybe they sort of will do marketing support, something like that. So it's sort of interesting. And I guess the widest thing is Mighty Action Heroes goes live today, so anyone can play that game without any NFTs. You do need a wallet to log in. That's the only thing. They are going to have an email login at some point, but basically anyone with a sort of MetaMask type wallet can just log into the game without any NFTs and start playing it. So it's the sort of start of their marketing sort of scheme. It's a battle royale game. It's pretty. I mean, I played a little bit, and you did as well on the initial demo. So it's battle royale sort of. I guess the interesting sort of thing they're doing with the NFTs is they're really playing up. You can create these grenades. So I think grenades are really going to be what they try and focus people on, because you basically have a crafting system where you're sort of collecting blueprints and resources and building these crazy grenades. And there's sort of grenades that are big skulls and grenades that do funky things. And so that's like customization things. So you sort of have the style of the battle royale is sort of blowing people up with certain grenades and stuff. So and I guess that will look nice on streaming and stuff. So yeah. Yeah, I hope they do well. So, but we'll wait and see. And play it this weekend.
Yeah, good. What else have you been playing this week?
I've been playing a lot of Mojo Melee, of course. Once you buy a battle pass, it's $15. You're sort of committed. I've got like 21 days to sort of get as much juice out of it as I can. So, so you do need to sort of. Well, I don't need to, but that's the sort of psychological boost of having a battle pass. I'm actually playing quite a bit of the Forge, which is Yuga Labs heavy metal. Using the heavy metal NFTs, little robots. Yeah. So I mean that's like a passive time-based sort of. You're not building a city, but it's like a city building game where you're building a little environment and you can customize it.
It's not a lot of action. It's like
there's no action at all. No, there's no action at all. It's just time-based. So that's just sort of sits in the background on a browser, playing some of that. So yeah, that's pretty much I think what I've been playing this week.
Good. Let's crack on then. We do have Google. That's the other sort of big news this week, isn't it? That have changed or updated their policy on NFTs. And can you just go into detail a little bit more what that means to industry?
I think
a lot of games, as we've said, are going releasing on mobile. So. And there's been some difficulty there. I mean, does it make the process easier, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely makes it... well, so I think the problem people have had with the Apple and Google Play stores is up to this point, or sort of a year ago, there weren't really any strong rules. There weren't any official rules or official guidance about what to do. So people sort of had to, people did what they thought was best, and some things seemed to be fine and some things weren't fine, and then some things that were fine seemed not to be fine, and people got kicked off the App Store. So I think it's always that sort of problem when there's no rules. It's sort of very uncertain, and people don't want to sort of invest. And in that sense, having rules is good. Of course, they may be bad rules. so that's sort of the issue. So with Apple, I think. Apple has these terms and conditions now, and we sort of roughly know what that means, that you can't have NFTs that unlock stuff, and if you have NFTs, you sort of have to have NFTs available to buy in the game using their payment systems. So that seems like a good, that seems like a law we can understand, but there's loads of stuff on the Apple Store that doesn't follow those rules. So it's sort of a little bit weird. Maybe there's just those games got accepted, and maybe they're going to over time be unaccepted and have to resubmit. So we don't know what's going on with Apple. With Google's always been more open. I mean, Google as a company is doing quite a lot of stuff in its sort of hosting service. So it acts as a validator, I think, for the Flow blockchain, the Ronin blockchain. There's a whole bunch of other blockchains that, it's nothing to do with gaming. That's just, Google has a bunch of data centers and they want to use them for stuff. So you can sort of run validator nodes through that. So Google's always been more open from that point of view. And now they've officially said that they are sort of they've not been quite as clear as Apple, as far as I can tell, at least publicly, in terms of what those rules are. They've sort of said they are encouraging of the blockchain industry, and they have been sort of talking to blockchain game developers about sort of what their needs are. the current rule they've said is sort of a little bit is more because there were no rules before. It's sort of more restrictive. So it sort of said you can't promote a blockchain game as a sort of money making thing, which I guess is good. It depends on exactly how they draw those lines. There is a gambling section within Google Play. So if you're a gambling app, then it's sort of different, because obviously that's the point of gambling. Is like you might win a lot of money, but so they're saying if you sort of want to promote that sort of aspect, then you have to be in the gambling section, which means you have to get you have to have a whole bunch of legal sort of stuff around that. And it seems to suggest that you can't sell random. You can't sell NFTs that have random rewards that could be worth real money. So it seems to me that you can't now do loot boxes within these games, because obviously loot boxes are random rewards. Some are the loot box.
Like the lottery, isn't it? So...
Yeah, the standard loot box thing is you're going to get one. You're going to guaranteed a common NFT, but you have 1% chance of a very rare one. So that's clearly a random reward sort of situation. So it looks like you probably can't do that anymore. So I guess in the takeaway from me was Google has sort of put a rule down. It's not a stupid rule, maybe restrictive in the sort of short term, but it seems like they're quite keen on telling developers we want to support you. And they had like quotes from John Linden,
and just focusing on it and actually paying attention to it is encouraging in itself, isn't it? So
I don't think it's as big. Some people are like, this is massive. This is gonna. It's like, no, it's not. But it may sort of suggest that sort of jam, as I said in my Substack, I think sort of jam tomorrow sort of proposal. We'll sort of see how that plays out with sort of the games that come out on Google Play. And you say there's loads of stuff like Mojo Melee is available on Google Play Store. Battle Bears just came out on Google Play Store. Mighty Action Heroes is not coming out on Google Play Store yet, but they're going to be an APK in August. So mobile is now, I think, seen as a much more friendly place to do this sort of stuff, even if people aren't exactly they can't do exactly what they would do on web. So there is that sort of ambiguity. But yeah. It's and I think the other thing as well is it's always the case that there's a bit of differentiation. So I think Google would sort of like to differentiate it. The Google Play Store would like to differentiate itself as a friendly place for blockchain games to be in comparison to Apple. And you sort of see the same thing in PC games, where obviously Steam doesn't allow anything, and Epic Games is obviously allowing stuff. So the sort of sometimes one company sort of makes a decision just to gain competitive advantage to their main competitor.
Yeah. And the NFT collecting Cool Cat has announced some news this week that they are working on 3 new blockchain games, and you wrote up that one. It's the US studio N-Way has really
So I mean, behind the scenes, we've sort of known that Cool Cats have been looking at games for like a couple of years, so in a sense, it's sort of no surprise. And obviously, crypto unicorns are sort of the first game project to say we're doing a whole bunch of mobile games and tie-in games. so this is just what people are doing. So Cool Cats is maybe a little bit behind the times on this, and the games, we'll see. They were very light on what they actually were. So the game from N-Way will probably be the biggest and the most interesting of those games. N-Way, quite well known, owned by Animoca Brands, did a lot of did some Power Ranger games that did very well, or thought of as very well, sort of good, sort of a multiplayer, sort of like beat 'em up type sort of games. So I'm not quite sure. I don't think Cool Cats will be doing beat 'em up games, but they say it's competitive multiplayer games. So that'll be interesting. And then there's a match 3 game and an endless runner game. Obviously, those two are not sort of conceptually that interesting. We know what a match 3 game is going to be. We know what an endless runner is going to be. They'll be just sort of more throwaway mobile games. So, whether this moves the needle for Cool Cats. The other thing with Cool Cats is I'm not a Cool Cat owner. I'm not really part of the community. I think they look nice. I think graphically they stand out. I think they're probably not at the level of some of the other projects. So even something like Doodles, which I like Doodles more. Doodles has very much gone down the route of sort of culture and sort of music and sort of all this accessory stuff you can do with it. Whether people are using that or not, another question. But I think with Doodles you have a clear idea what they're doing. With Yuga, obviously, you have a clear idea what they're doing with Metaverse. And some of the other ones, you sort of have a clearer idea of what their sort of identity is. Cool Cats, to me, I'm a little less sure, and I'm not and I'll be interested to see what particularly what the Enway game turns out like, because I think they have to sort of a little bit more to me define exactly what they are. And to be fair to Cool Cats, they were a brand before NFTs, so obviously, sort of Doodles was a NFT project really, whereas Cool Cats have been around for before NFTs. But we'll sort of see where they play out.
And we also have the Binance Labs investment into Xterio. That was
never know how to say that.
Say that again.
Xterio.
Is that how you say it? Xterio.
I don't know. Xterio. If you're American, Xterio. I don't know. But they're not American, are they?
British accents, Xterio, maybe.
They're Chinese, aren't they? So.
Incubation Binance Lab. Binance's incubation on Binance Labs invested 15 million. What does this mean to the industry?
I don't know. I mean, it's quite a big chunk of money. So they've raised 55 million now. They did a 40 million round earlier last year, led by FTX, unfortunately. So I hope they got the money. Xterio is sort of interesting. They say they come from a whole bunch, mainly Chinese companies. Mainly FunPlus was the big one. They're doing a lot of mobile games. They've got sort of 3 games they're internally working on. A terrible GTA clone, to be honest. A more interesting one called Overlord. And a sort of 4X mobile game, Age of Dinos. It's interesting if you look at their website. They've got a whole bunch of other games like Block Lords, which I didn't know. I don't know why. I don't know what Block Lords are doing with them. Block Lords, I've never mentioned them previously. But anyway, so they've got a platform thing. So they've got some tech people can use, and obviously they've got a bunch of money for dev services now. They've got a bit more money. The Binance thing I think comes in with Xterio is going to launch a token. So obviously Binance will help them sell that and get liquidity on that. And as part of the deal, they're supporting the BNB chain, which I guess my personal views on the BNB chain are sort of well known. I mean, I suppose it's fine. People on the BNB chain want decent games, certainly. They don't have any at the moment. So it's sort of, I wouldn't overly play this significance of it. I think, again, with all these sort of platform plays, the games are the bit that matter. As we sort of... I don't know. I think with Xterio, I think like a lot of these companies, it seems like raising 55 million is a lot of money, but in the game industry, it's just not a lot of money. And I think the sort of my fear there is they've raised not enough money, and for the games that they're trying to do. So I think most blockchain games publishers certainly would be better off getting rid of half of their slate and spending more money on the games they've got. I think my view has always been, a great blockchain game is going to do brilliantly. So but having 2 average blockchain games is less likely to work by,
and 10 not so good ones.
And it's just a hassle. You have 10 games. You're like, well, what's the marketing? You just need a lot of people to handle all the nuts and bolts.
Isn't it? We're gonna go into all these different genres so that we got the potential of reaching a really, really big audience. And
I reckon there is sort of business intelligence behind it. You sort of go, well, we need to like launch a couple of games quickly just to sort of feel the market and get in there. And then this big one, I think the big one for them is this Overlord game. So, but I sort of, I mean, I don't know, the GTA one, it's called TTT. The GTA one, to me, just don't make a bad GTA clone. I mean, this is clearly what they're going to make. In GTA, literally thousands of people work on that game, and it costs probably, it costs literally hundreds of millions of dollars to make. I mean, it's one of the biggest entertainment franchises ever. I would just not go there. I just don't think you gain anything from doing that. So but we'll see. I mean, I don't make games. I just comment on them. So.
On the other hand, you have the Dapper Labs news with laying off.
Well, I mean,
people and so the market's going down there. So it's encouraging in a way that there are at least some investments going on still.
Well, I think with Dapper Labs, that's just sort of internal housekeeping. Like all these companies, not just in blockchain games. You see, all these big tech companies massively overhired during COVID, and now they're having to sack loads of people. Obviously, Twitter being sort of something else going on there, but most tech companies could probably lose 20% of their staff, and no one would notice the difference really. Which is not to say that those staff are not sort of working hard, but just the way sort of companies end up getting structured. What? Say again?
Quite radical there.
No, not really. No, I mean this is well known in tech circles that that basically, you probably, there's an 80-20 rule, isn't there? So standard thing is like 80% of your business, or 20% of your business generates 8% of your sort of profits or revenue. And I think it's sort of similar that, probably 20% of your staff are really, really doing the stuff that works. And the other people are not, they're sort of average, and they're not bad people. They're probably badly deployed, and it's very hard once you've got someone, once you've got a group of people doing stuff, it's very hard to sort of redeploy them. So, anyway.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening this week. That's all from us, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Oh, no.